Lead and Follow, Life Lessons Through Dancing. Chapter 7, The Dance Lessons of Life. In our study, we have been discovering lessons of life through the lessons of dance. We have found much, but as we come to a close, there is one more theme to consider. Dance lessons, as we've seen from the comments of dancers of many styles, have a profound impact on life and identity. We've seen how dance can be a powerful tool for individual growth. How we grow is a part of living, and so is relevant to our study. How we dance is also a valid thing to consider, because how we dance is vital to how much we grow from it. Becoming better dancers, and more aware dancers, will help us gain more fully from our dance experience, taking in its lessons more abundantly. Are there things that help make a better dancer? Dance has taught us much about life, but dance is still only a single facet of life experience that can be explored. Some time ago, I heard a ballet teacher of mine describe how women who are mothers make better dancers than those who aren't. Better dancers, I wondered? What makes that so? I began to consider if there weren't some actual life undertakings that bring about a greater quality in dancers. The instructor explained that mothers are more familiar with different ranges of emotion, for the role of a mother is generally accompanied by a deep emotional attachment to her child. Any person can find joy in such things as a day at the beach with perfect weather, or in moments with good company, sharing laughter and fun. But such a person may not understand how a mother can experience greater joy deeply rooted in the life of her baby. She finds self-fulfillment in the progression of another life. Each gesture, each laugh and smile, even the peaceful sounds of her baby while sleeping, affect a mother more deeply and concentrated than many other gratifications she might indulge. Because a mother is so connected to a more profound sense of life, she has a greater depth of emotion to tap into, so her expressive potential is greater than others. It seems that big life events, like becoming a parent, have a way of shaping our identities and opinions faster and more profoundly than anything else. We gain a better perspective on emotion and who we are from these life-changing events, and can use them to help us become more expressive and passionate in the things we do. Though it isn't often we stop to consider what life experience can teach us about a step, or a performance, or about dance in general. We might now wish to stop and think about what sort of potential lay hidden in experience that we might draw on. It may be that we just might find hidden ability and a reservoir of inspiration in the exploration. Dancers in ballet theater each have a person they are trying to imitate. Swan Lake, for example, a ballet by Tchaikovsky, depicts a powerful love story. The Princess Odette and her true love are tricked by the evil sorcerer von Rothbart. The broken-hearted Odette, having been transformed into a swan, flies to a lake where she begins to die. This scene has been performed numerous times by many dancers, but a performance by Maya Plisetsky in 1969 is arguably the best interpretation ever done of the dying swan. The music for this scene is a sweet yet painful serenade of twilight on the eve of a deeply mournful life. Plisetsky performs this segment, matching the soft rhythms with a splendid and mysterious measure of forlorn gesture, as that of a life going out of a person, yet moving with such ease and tranquility. She captures all attention with the smallest of movements, filled with simplicity and powerful emotion. Who knows what her life experience has wrought in her to perform such a piece, so mournful, with such beauty and such mastery of expression. She says, quote, Mastery of form is a fine thing, but if in addition to that you have the art of hearing the music, and you have to hear it, you have to dance it, you have to sing it with your body, then in addition to technique, you will have expressiveness." Close quote. Maya Plisetsky, Russian prima ballerina, British documentary 1986. Expressiveness in dance is greatly affected by the depth of experience in the dancer. Each dancer brings a part of his or herself to a performance, and so each individual's life-changing moments can have an impact on what is performed. But it is not necessary to rely on such experiences to draw out greater expressiveness as dancers. Experience gives us some understanding and perspective, but it doesn't necessarily create a very good dancer, for many life events can work on us profoundly. Some experiences take a lifetime to affect us before we gain an awareness of change. Dance itself takes many years of cultivation to develop a strong ability that can be expressed and admired by an audience. But some experiences require little of ourselves to inspire. Some people find inspiration by what they read. Poetry, literature, song, or history can spark something that touches us and motivates desires within us. Sometimes while traveling we meet people or see places that enlighten our minds to a sense of smallness, wonder, or even gratitude. Often we can find inspiration in ourselves just by getting the spirit of living or learning. Reading, learning, and getting excited about something we find interesting is a great way to find motivation to accomplish goals and develop new talents. It is no mistake that when we are engaged in some good work that inspires us, we perform better and get more out of our experience in life as well. We can at times also be too demanding of ourselves. We might work ourselves too hard or expect too much of ourselves. Even if that work is in something we love, we can hinder our work's progress by overdoing it. Life teaches us that whenever we demand too much of something, it is possible to cause it harm. We can break ourselves and our work down with the burdens of stresses we place upon ourselves. Most dancers work hard to perform their dances right. It's that ability to move correctly and express oneself well that makes performing worthwhile. We want to be great dancers, to perform as well as those who have reached the spotlight and gain recognition for our talent as well. In the process, we tend to overlook our own needs, actually hindering our work instead of building it up. We have to remember that no motivation, however strong it may be, is good motivation if it starts to interfere with our basic human needs. Rest is equally important to development as practice, allowing our minds and bodies to take in what they have learned. Cutting into that time is damaging. Time cannot be a luxury we are not willing to endure. When it does, perfection becomes all that matters, and perfection can be damaging. In a work by Ted Orland and David Bales, authors of Art and Fear, it is said, quote, "To require perfection is to invite paralysis. The pattern is predictable. As you see error in what you have done, you steer your work towards what you imagine you can do perfectly. You cling ever more tightly to what you already know and can do, away from risk and exploration, and possibly further from the work of your heart." Close quote. We should not overlook the incrementalist nature we have within ourselves. We should love what we do and work out the details that are required to perform what that is. It is in our capacity to work well in discipline, step by step to achieve what we desire. Ron Montez once stated that his motivation for dance was not the hope of becoming champion, but to progress in a skill that he loved and enjoy the process. He soon became the U.S. Latin champion 9 times and even went as high as 3rd place in the world professional circuit. Quote, "I'll take anything a step at a time. I don't have these grand illusions about goals or anything. A lot of people do. That's where their motivations come from. Mine is daily, hourly, weekly, monthly, and eventually you get to a point and you realize you're there. That's just the way I treat my dance career. I never said I was going to be U.S. champion. That was just me because I thought it was arrogant. Some people say, I'm going to be champion someday, and that's great. That's a motivation thing. But I would never say that. That's just not part of my personality. But I would practice like I was trying to be champion daily. So my formula was bit by bit, day by day, gaining in a skill to produce what I wanted to do, and enjoying the process." Close quote. Ron Montez, in interview July 21, 2010, professional and former U.S. Latin champion. Life itself is a teacher all its own. One lesson bears particular significance to our discussion, and to dance as well. This lesson comes from a warning to avoid being too dependent on what is popular in terms of reasoning and action. Think how impossible it would be to rely on cliché statements we grew up with to deal with the problems we face today. Old ideas found in such things as greeting cards, wisdom from the grocery store, and calendar aphorisms often fail to illustrate life as it actually is, with all its complexities and added variables, which make the life equation so much more involved than any one methodology is capable of addressing. Life doesn't usually fit into the neatly packaged and gift-wrapped statements we pass around at dinner parties and share by consolements to other people's situations. A saying such as, "A friend in need is a friend indeed," may be well and good. Unless, of course, we change it to say, "A friend who is always in need makes you his friend indeed." And the aphorism, "A good beginning makes a good ending," is about as useful in literary terms as "grin and bear it" is to someone in an abusive situation. While there are many good and useful sources of information and help available in many places, it is only prudent not to take too much advice from any one source. Anyone who teaches otherwise probably wants to sell something. Great knowledge is obtained from many sources. Truth is a universal entity that peeks its head in every culture of every corner of the world. Sometimes it can be hard to identify, being mixed in with misinformation and poor understanding, but it can be found in many places, as well as in many individuals. Many of the lessons we have considered in this work and ideas from this very chapter can be found and learned elsewhere in many sorts of activities. They can be found even in our day-to-day talks of life. Dance teaches us so much because it can be a part of living. Dance is a behavior, an action we perform as breathing individuals, and therefore is a lesson of life in itself because it is connected to living. But when we pull our thoughts and opinions from a single source, we become limited in our understanding. We begin to rely on that source for all our knowledge, and in the process decrease in our ability to think for ourselves. We become codependent upon the prescribed methodologies of a single source, or select few sources. In the beginning of this book, I mentioned how life is a big topic to consider, but that it is easier to speak about the topic by codifying the subject matter into a simplified form, such as within the boundaries of dance. However, it is still just one way to think about the lessons of life, and one place to learn them. The lessons of life are founded in experience. So anything that offers good experience, as we talked about in Chapter 2, is a chance to find truth, expand ourselves, and learn something new. But one source can only offer so much. Not even dance is quite adequate enough to offer all the truth and wisdom about how to live our lives happily and in a fulfilled way. When we do pull our instructions for how to live and deal with problems from one place, we essentially let others think for us, and we in turn lose our ability to find and recognize truth for ourselves. This happens as we become attached to sources of quick information for convenience or loyalty's sake. These information receptacles can take the form of books, CDs, public speakers, religious leaders, mentors, friends, colleagues, family members, political parties, activist groups, support groups, etc. Understanding there is a lot of good in each one of these things, any one of them can also be misused. We like these things because they provide us with a method of handling our lives and the problems we always face. They sound good, and they make us feel good, and they work pretty well for a time, so we come back for more. Everyone has their own methodology, their own way of handling themselves. But it's nice to rely on the methods of others at times, which can make up for the problems we lack experience with. Life isn't always so simple that we can figure it all out on our own. However, if not for our own ability to reason and work through problems, we would not last long under any sort of stress. There are people who really can't handle much stress on their own without being told what to do. They may not have ever been given the opportunity to learn and think for themselves, or allowed themselves to work out their own needs with how the world works around them. But it is something that has become common enough today to spark the creation of a new phrase in some small social circles. It is a colloquialism comparing certain individuals who cannot handle pressure to a teacup, because under any sort of strain or pressure, they might crack. Additional modern terms include soy boys, cupcake, and snowflake. Being sure to stay open to new insights helps us stay fresh in the mind and ready for more. When we are dealing with stress in our lives, we may need to look to other sources for help to resolve our situations, But we should also be able and willing to step out on our own to try and tackle the problems we face to the best of our ability. This also helps keep our minds active and healthy. We should look to many good and quality sources of information to better our understanding. Having this attitude certainly makes a better, more competent dancer as well. Persons who are more open to ideas can generally be more creative. They avoid becoming hindered by a single prescribed methodology, so a dancer who keeps his or her mind open to new thoughts and opinions can transition easier between changes in choreography and is better prepared to improve and create new movement combinations in their dance. Persons who keep their mind active and fresh with information about their interests can handle problems that come up within their pursuits. They will not succumb to the pressures they face because of problems, but can address them. They also know where to go for resources to help them when needed. So a dancer who is proactive in dance education, not just dance training, is better prepared for long rehearsals as well as dealing with stress, fatigue, and personal needs. Dance education goes beyond the confines of formal instruction, involving a serious look into areas that may surround that instruction to help a dancer reach their goals more effectively. This could be a look into the health sciences, nutrition, or training programs designed with a specific goal for the dancer to reach. Dancers will also find it vital to their progression to learn from several dance styles and coaches, even at different schools if necessary. Dancers may be able to rely on and do well with one discipline, but there are many methods of dance, each offering its own appeal and benefits. A dancer who draws their practice from only one place may limit their potential or slow their growth, for some lessons are learned better from one place than from another. As we discussed in Chapter 1, gaining experience in several things related to our interests help us clarify those pursuits, giving us a better understanding of who we are and want to be. Dance itself is also an evolving art form that changes from year to year, from place to place, and takes on new rules every decade or so. Receiving instruction from several sources is usually the best way to keep up on all that is happening in the industry. Many coaches like to stick with what they know how to do, and do not further their own training that much. So they keep teaching the same things, the same ways, over and over for years, without any change. These coaches take on students and make carbon copies of themselves, who go on to teach others the only way they were taught, furthering a community of dance that is more or less sterile. It does not progress and does not allow for new innovation. It may be good, and it may be well received, but it also will be stale to anyone more educated with the styles and history of a dance, and with many audiences as well. We must learn our own way and not stop developing ourselves, both as dancers and as people. In dance, we can take our favorite songs and learn to move to its beats. There is a notion that in life each must learn his or her own song to play. Pulling from many sources, learning as much as we can, helps us do this. If not, our music will always be incomplete. Life can be like a song. You can make it into your own favorite song with some work and personal development. Just as the dancer can learn to dance the music of the body and recognizes its own needs, limitations, and strengths, we can learn to dance to the rhythms of our own life. Knowing or understanding the music of our life is one way a dancer may come to know themselves better. Martha Graham, a pioneer of modern dance, once stated, quote, "Dance is a song of the body, either of joy or pain." Close quote. We can make the dance whatever we want. We can also make life whatever we desire. We should also look at education and how it helps to establish a good foundation of knowledge that is diversified. Those who are educated are often thought of as being well-rounded individuals because education generally requires comprehension of a variety of subjects. Those who are educated have a grasp of several subjects and can communicate their thoughts and opinions easily with good arguments that are well thought out. A dancer who is educated in this manner might gain an appreciation for communication that is easily understood and organized to suit different audiences. A person who has been trained to think and organize, as most education requires, is likely to be more sensitive to detail and the needs of those he or she wants to communicate to. Dance is a communication that can talk to many sorts of people, including oneself. We can dance and communicate thoughts to an audience, to a partner, or to ourselves, depending on the dance and the situation. So it is important that we attain some level of education for the purpose of having the training to think critically and organize our thoughts and communicate better with all others. Truthfully, there are so many educated individuals today who come from many sorts of backgrounds, training, and lifestyles that would be hard to communicate effectively without some sort of formal educational training. The late 19th century philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche once stated, quote, "I do not know what the spirit of a philosopher could more wish to be than a good dancer, for the dance is his ideal." Close quote. Of course, he was also educated, and being so entrapped by the art of dance, one might glimpse through his words the impact it has had both on generations past and on those of today who are rediscovering dance across the nation for the first time. Dance is a noble art, one that has never favored a single class of people. It has spanned the world. It has spanned generations. It has spanned the lifetimes of individuals in every clime. No book will ever tell with accurate description the positive impact it has left on the world. All we can tell is that which the dancer already knows. As we let our music lead us, life will follow. The end. About the author. R.K. Shanahan grew up in the suburbs north of Seattle, Washington, where he learned to dance. With few people his own age able to dance any of the standard ballroom or social dance styles, he took it upon himself to teach his friends in order to practice. He fell in love with teaching others in the process. Eventually, he went on to receive formal instructor training at a dance school before going to BYU, Idaho to finish his education and gain more dance experience. Shanahan continues to study the life lessons in dance while working as a dance educator, while also expanding into a variety of other movement art forms and athletics, including the martial arts, Olympic-style fencing, Tai Chi, and other movement arts and athletics. He has become the founder of Mountain West Swords Academy, teaching fencing to youth. He remains active in all these pursuits, most recently taking up a career with the Air National Guard and creating athletic educational content on YouTube. You can find his channel at RecSport Education. That's REC Sport Education. For discussions in philosophy and theology, you can also find Shanahan's content on YouTube under All About Your Faith. Thank you to all those who have supported me in this work and effort. I hope that those who have listened through this or read through the book have found some value in doing so and enjoyment in the process. My best wishes to you as you continue to pursue new knowledge and wisdom through all your endeavors. And I encourage you, no matter what your endeavors may be, that you will find some way to continue moving in life, in body, in intellect, and spirit.